And so the suffering is false and the happiness is also false, bro, because the solutions that we have is the actual problem, bro. And so I'm freaking out in every aspect, bro. We're not supposed to be here to freaking suffer, but you were told so. You were told so. What's happening? My name is Albert. If you think, believe, or agree that life is to suffer or that life is about suffering, please stay with me because I will blow your mind. And so the first place that I like to start is with the question itself. The question, is life about suffering? It doesn't matter how you respond. Because whether you agree or disagree, suffering is already built into society, culture, tradition, but worldwide. And so whether you agree or not, it doesn't matter because it's our blueprint. Religion. Jesus suffered. In Buddhism, suffering is freaking everywhere. And so we are carrying it whether we're thinking that way or not. And so I'm going to give you some freaking hallmark ideas. But first, I want to illustrate what goes on with suffering that's already built in. All of us, but all of us. Here's the suffering aspect, which we carry. It's our blueprint. It's written within us that we inherited worldwide, all of us, through culture, through tradition, through society, through religion. So it's there, the aspect to suffer because you need to suffer because life is about suffering. At the same time, the culture, the tradition, society, and religion says that life is about being happy. Find your happiness. Seek happiness. You deserve to be happy. Happiness is around the corner, right? At the end, you'll be happy, right? So we carry that as well. Now watch this. Because to be happy, we're going to go inevitably through the channels of suffering. And so we're going to seek to suffer to be happy. And that's something that if you catch, it'll change you because you'll see it clearly when I tell you my true life stories, which I'll start first with relationships, because with relationships, you need to suffer. And I'm going to show you because I made sure I made a girl that made me suffer one way or the other. She was strict and she was like this. And I loved her more and more. The more strict she was, you can't do this, you can't do that. The fights that we had, I loved her more. And vice versa. Now, if I treated her nice and I understood, she didn't like me. And so through all the relationships that I had, because I came across some amazing girls, amazing sweethearts that didn't have the heart to argue, that didn't have the heart to be in conflict, I left them. And why? Because, she didn't bring me a challenge, I didn't really love her. But if she made me suffer, if she left me for someone else, if she caused a threat, I love her more. And so therefore, suffering and love go hand in hand. If you take a look out there, I have friends who wanted to get yelled at, wanted to get beat because they associated getting beaten, hurt, yelled at, or scolded, or told what to do. They associated that kind of treatment with love and then depend on that type of treatment to continue feeling loved. And so there was also a time where I was a really, really good freaking dude, man. I did not want to be in any type of conflict whatsoever. If my girl told me she wanted to go out, I said, go ahead, man, it's cool. And I was so understanding and I think, a delight. And she left me. She left me because I didn't make her suffer. And so I stayed a real nice guy for years until the word was already out. Oh, you have to be a bastard. Oh, if you want her to fall in love with you, leave her flat, do this to her, and she'll fall in love with it. Now, that's suffering. And so I was a nice guy, and I couldn't get a freaking date until I became this terrible freaking bastard. all of a sudden, drinking, hanging out, I didn't care. I showed up late. I was irresponsible and I got girls. It was freaking incredible how that became the voice, that you have to be a total jerk. You have to almost play that line of putting your relationship into a position where it's threatened all the time. And then she'll love you to death. The more turmoil that I caused a female, the more she loved me. And so there's the suffering aspect. And so whether we see it or not, or whether I saw it or not, I seek happiness, the relationship, through the channels of suffering. And so this explains why girls like the bad guys, you know? They like the jailbirds. Oh yeah, if you're an ex-con, your chances of getting a girl, and beautiful girl, are super high because they grew up through those channels. And so they're going to definitely choose the ex-convict, the ex-con, over a really nice guy. And so there's a whole bunch of nice guys that have come forward to say that I got money, I'm responsible, and nothing. And so right now we got the suffering within the relationships down packed. And so now we have to go and work to suffer to feed the family, or put the food on the table, and then go through suffering through the work aspect. Now check this out. When you bust your butt, it pays off, because you need to suffer in order to make it in life. You need to suffer, and so you gotta try to suffer as much as possible. Work 18 hours, work 20 hours a day, and suffer in order to freaking make it in life, so that you can have a status and take care of this and take care of that. Suffer. That's number freaking 2, bro. Where if you take a look at that, you can see it like I see it now, which is, how about putting your best foot forward and getting down with work, but with effort, where you're really getting down. Now, I was in the music business, man, 30 years, bro, and I suffered through the whole thing. Going to the studio, oh my God, only because I carried the prospect of suffering. But meanwhile, look at what I was doing. I was freaking producing music, man. The light, the love of my life. Oh no, I had to suffer. And so I was in the studio constantly freaking complaining and suffering, because work was associated with suffering. And so I had a lot of money, but I associated it with suffering. Oh, life is hard. And so that's the work aspect. And now fitness. Oh, no pain, no gain. And so I grew up associating fitness with suffering. Right? And so my brother, he used to punish me with push-ups. And so depending on the severity would decide how many push-ups I was going to end up doing. And so when I wasn't so good, give me 50. And I would be like, oh my God. And then when I did a minor, okay, give me 10. And so there was the association. So he grew up that way, naturally, through suffering. And I inherited that. And so now I'm like, pouting over push-ups. And so now watch this, because I grew up and I started to see that we have 600 plus muscles, man. And then the click, the awakening, the insight happened while watching children. I'm watching children and they're not suffering. Under the age 5, they can't say I'm tired, because they haven't inherited the the contamination called the English language. So they can't say I'm tired. They can't say, oh no, it's not Tuesday, the cardio day. They can't do any of that. And so they're running around, and when they get tired naturally, then they'll slow down, or they'll stop for water, or they'll just give up. But that's a natural. And when I saw that, I said, I don't see suffering there. So therefore, I inherited to suffer. And so now I'm in fitness, right? You tell me to do 50 push-ups. I like to give you 100. You tell me to give you 100 push-ups. I like to give you 200. And so I know how good push-ups are for me and how my body feels afterwards. Therefore, there's the proof that the no pain, no gain is inherited. And that's not true, bro, because anyone who goes out there and moves their body, they can only move it to their capabilities. You can't do any more than that. And so there's the freaking farce between relationships. work, and fitness. And so when I saw this, I said, oh man, no, life is not about suffering. But we were taught that. And so therefore, that explained the freaking horrible relationships I got into. Because I made sure to go out with a bitch. I made sure to go out with this girl that was so freaking threatening to my life, and I loved her so much. And when she left me, and in the movies, in the soap operas where there's always something dramatic happening, where the guy's leaving the girl has another dude on the side, or the girl ends up having a baby with another dude, and the guy's freaking in freaking tears. He's suffering so much, and so we're watching that. And we're mirroring all of that within our actual lives, man. And so I woke up from this, right? And so this girl came along, Liza something, I forgot. And so she made a video promoting suffering. She said it just like this. She said, look, man, life is about suffering. And if you're wondering why your relationship is not going as you wish, is because you're not suffering enough. She said it. She's 21 years old, man. And then she talked about work. If you feel that you're not putting your foot forward, it's because you're not suffering enough. And then she talked about fitness. She says, I hate the gym and I go anyway because I know that I have to suffer through it. I told her, no, Liza, you don't have to suffer. And so I explained everything within the response video to her. And a buddy of mine who is a Jehovah's Witness, he saw the video and he sent me a message saying, hey, Albert, I watched your video and I think you have a misunderstanding about suffering. And I responded, no, I don't have a misunderstanding. I am out of suffering, and so therefore I am just out. And he said, oh, no, but you don't understand. And he started to send me scriptures and links. And he said, oh, there's different types of suffering. And I'm like, well, I'm not interested in different types of suffering because I'm out of suffering. And so look at what this guy is doing. I'm saying that I'm out of suffering. And he's trying to put me back in there because he grew up, suffering. And with the Jehovah's Witness, you have to suffer. And so he was trying to keep me there. And now anyone with a sane mind that heard someone say I'm out of suffering would want to inquire. A sane mind would say, wait a minute, you're out of suffering, explain some more. Break it down, give me an example. He didn't ask, man. And so I kept telling him that I don't understand what he's talking about because since I'm out of suffering, then there's no relationship to any type of suffering. I'm out. And so I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by not suffering. I'm going to use an accident. And so I get into an accident and let's say I hurt my knee bad, right? And so at the time, as soon as I hurt my knee, there's a bodily reaction, ouch. And so my next step from that point naturally is to attend the knee to see how bad it is. And so I'll move my foot to make sure that there's mobility, that I can move it. That's step number 2. Step number 3 is to see like the degree of the pain to see if there's swelling. And then step 4 is to decide what to do. Go to the hospital, put ice on it. Let me say, okay, so I can't do this, but it'll go away. It's not that bad. There's nothing broke. It's not hurting to the point where I need medical attention. And so that's the natural response to the pain. Now, after comes the psychological input of, God is teaching you a lesson. Now that's the suffering aspect. Well, you know what? Sometimes you have to suffer, give time. And so suffering is part of life, all about the pain in the knee, but that's a spew. It's all freaking spew. Same thing with relationships. I get into a relationship, right? And let's say we're together for 5 years and she decides to leave me. Now, right there, when she leaves me, it hurts. And so there's a tightness within my chest because that's how I respond to those type of things. There's a tightness, there's confusion, there's this loneliness, but that's all a natural coming from the body. Now, if I left it to the body will take care of that breakup 100 times better than what ends up happening, because what ends up happening is that the mind kicks in with revenge, or there's something better for you, and that's why she left you, because God has something better for you. And then of course that the suffering psychologically, or you know what, life is about suffering, and there it is again. But if you take a look at life, we leave each other. Yo, bro, that's just the freaking nature of life. That not, if you take a look at the divorce rate out there, it's freaking clear in our faces that we're not supposed to be together, as they say. To death do us apart. It's a freaking crock. That's a lie. It's not true. And the people that believe that, they stay together and they freaking end up in turmoil, but in real turmoil, when they should have broken up so that they can go out there and live the lives that they ought to live. But because since they're supposed to be together, and life, you're supposed to be together because of the soulmates and all that nonsense, then they stay together, and then they produce the real suffering that shouldn't be there. Because when people don't get along for whatever reasons, they ought to split up, but without a reason. Like right now, if I'm with someone and she leaves me, I don't need to know why. Because looking to know why is just this intellectual satisfactory thing that I seek only to make myself feel better. But if I allow my body to process it without the intellect, it'll deal with it in less time than me putting in all the psychological aspects to how, relationships is to suffer and God has better plans for you. And so these are the things to catch. Because if you're with me, you can put things together for yourself, how we seek suffering for that reward. Oh, you need to suffer. And so we're going through the channels of suffering in order to be happy, which is the freaking sickness of the whole thing, man. And so I'm seeing it freaking left and right. Girls leaving good men and going with the freaking loser, man. All because that guy threatens her. She associates him with suffering and therefore loves him to death. The more suffering, the more love, which is a freaking sickness, man, because this explains the mess that's out there, bro. People that want to make $1 million and they're suffering for it, and they're not thinking, let me work as hard as possible, and as hard as I work is what I'll end up with. And so whatever I end up with is where I stand. And so many people could be really cool with their lives and really live fantastic lives if that aspect of, yo, bro, oh man, I worked every day, man, for 18 hours, bro. Oh, man, and suffering it. And we're feeling really good about putting in all those hours when we're not thinking of effectiveness. Like, okay, I work 2 hours, but effectively. And so, okay, I have this and I'm cool because that's what I have for now. And in regards to fitness, man, because there's no such thing as suffering, I don't struggle to work out, which is a freaking amazing aspect of my life for 8 solid years plus. I have yet to, fitness is suffering, no pain, no gain. I don't. If you look at my channel, I'm freaking getting down, man. I'm freaking working out left and right without any struggle whatsoever. And why? Because the aspect of suffering is out. It doesn't exist. And so that Jehovah's Witness needed to hear all of this. Now, I never got to explain it to him, which means he's going to live within that world to suffer. He accepted it. He's going to do it, which means he's associating everything with suffering. Because Jesus suffered, bro. He died for your sins. He suffered for your sins, bro. And so he's freaking carrying that forever, man. And so I'm freaking out in every aspect, bro. We're not supposed to be here to freaking suffer, but you were told so. And whether you were told so or not, you picked it up through the movies, through the soap operas, through all that stuff. You picked it up through watching other people who suffered. And so you fell for it naturally because you thought, well, they're suffering, and so my life ought to be like that. When you see a relationship, or you grow up watching relationships that are constantly in turmoil, then you think that, well, that's the relationship. That's the way it is, bro. And so I was particularly a scumbag to girls, all because I thought I had to be that way, because that was the role of the man, to freaking scold her to do this. The way I was, bro. The way I was, bro, was a terrible example of a man. But the man that I am now, if I'm not gonna freaking go for a relationship right now, because I already know that she's looking for someone to suffer with, and so I'm out. And it's okay. I prefer to not freaking do that and live like that and be bad to a girl, also that she could love me some more. And so that aspect is out of my life, but it's cool, bro. I'm also not going to bust my butt working. I'd rather work effectively. And as I said with fitness, it's freaking cleared away, man. I do not suffer for any type of exercise whatsoever, bro. Doing one more is not suffering at all. And so anyway, if you caught on to this, maybe you could look at your life to see where you suffered, or where she suffered, or where you played the games of suffering, where you purposely try to make her jealous. Oh, baby, this girl was looking at me and asked me for my number. And you're doing that purposely to freaking get her jealous, because that jealousy is a form of suffering. And so you look for it, or she looks for it. Like, oh, yeah, there's a few guys that like me, and she's trying to make you jealous, all so that you could freaking latch onto her, because, I guess indirectly or seeped in, there's that avenue where we will do that to each other to keep the relationship together. And so we're using the aspects of suffering in different degrees in order to maintain the relationship, because what maintains the relationship is the suffering, whether you think so or not, or whether you, let's say, disagree. If you look really close, you'll find it, because this suffering has been fostered for generations. It's not like this thing where it's just made up. It's freaking been there for all of us, and it's everywhere. All you have to do is see it. You can see it in relationships. You can see it with the work aspect. You'll see it. You'll freaking see it for yourself in a different way. Maybe not my way, because I'm going to be 61 years old, right? And so I come from the serious Catholic Old Testament, that world. And so you may not identify with me to the degree where I'm coming from. You see it within your life if you look closely. And so the exercise, right, to pop out of this, because what's connected to this is the reward and punishment system. The reward and punishment system keeps the suffering aspect in gear. I'll give you an example. At a restaurant, depending on the service, depends on whether that person, the waitress, will get a reward, which is a tip, or she'll get punished with no tip, depending. And now, the punishment that's there is a form of suffering, because I'm not going to leave her a tip so she can learn a lesson. That's so that she can suffer over it, so that she can learn a lesson. Learning a lesson, doing something for someone to learn a lesson, is a form of making them suffer over it. I'm not going to go back there ever again. Like, if they're going to remember me, is a form of me making them suffer. Like, oh, they're going to lose my business now, or because they took too long, or because the food came cold, or for whatever reason. So in order to get out of the whole realm of suffering, I did it, and it's an incredible exercise, which is to never punish or never reward either. Therefore, when I go to a restaurant, I tip customarily, as just a customary thing, because that's what we do. And so I leave the same tip, or the appropriate tip, whether the service is good or not, because I know that if I punish, that I'm going right back into the whole bubble of suffering. And I do not want to be there. So therefore, I know that life is about my fair share of getting some good service sometimes and some good food and some good service, along with the same share of times where I go and have to sit and wait a long time and the food doesn't come the way I order. But I sit tight knowing this, and I do not punish. I don't punish kids either. I don't play that game, or if you do this, if you're a good boy, then we'll go. If you do this, then we, because that's a form of punishment, which is a form of suffering, because now we're not going to go. And so you see, now you get to suffer over it. There's a freaking aspect of suffering that freaking just rides with punishing people, and that's all we do. We punish people. Girls didn't want to mingle with me. They didn't want to hold my hand when they were mad at me. There's a form of punishment. Well, now you're not going to get any because da 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 da. So that's a form of punishment. And what happens there when I don't get any? Then I retaliate. And so then I seek revenge, which is to get them back for them, how they treated me. And so there goes the war between the relationship. And so once the reward system and the punishment system was eliminated totally, my life changed, bro. Because I'm not carrying that aspect to do that or to be like that. And so wherever I go, it's such a delight. And it's a delight for me when I'm by myself, when I go places. And it's also a delight for others that they never see me, oh, this place is terrible, complaining, because that complaining too, it rides along with the punishment, and it rides along with, oh yeah, the suffering. They're freaking boiled together. They're in the soup together. They play with each other, and so that's out. And so happiness, the aspect of happiness is also out, because man, I'll say this real quick, bro, the body cannot handle sustained happiness, bro. And so the suffering is false, and the happiness is also false, bro. Because if anyone ever really try to go out there to be happy, you know that it never really truly freaking surfaces, bro. Oh, I started this job and I got this promotion, and nope, it didn't make me happy. I did this and did that and went here and moved here to be happy, and nope. Oh, I did this and did that and opened up a YouTube channel and I got 1 million subscribers, and did that make me happy? Nope. And so this means that it doesn't exist. Happiness does not exist, but we act as though it does, even though it doesn't. Even though we can say so many times where, dude, bro, they say money won't make you happy, right? And so we kind of intellectually say these things, but we still go ahead and chase it through the suffering in order to arrive at that illusion that there's happiness. And then we stay in turmoil, all going in circles about it until we die, bro. Or until you die, because I'm out, bro. And so this is the best video that I could ever make in regards to suffering. Because if you see it clearly, you won't chase happiness. What you'll do is that you allow your body to respond to its stimulus. And so you're going to get that feeling that you call happiness naturally, whether things are good or things are bad, because that's the way the hormones work within us, where we get our fair share of just this ecstatic state, and then we get that fair share of feeling gloomy and feeling frustrated. The other thing that you may not know, bro, frustration, the act of frustration itself, once I'm frustrated, the body's already taking care of it. And with anger, the body is already taking care of it. But what screws it up is everything that the mind does within the frustration, the anger, the jealousy. Everything we're taught is the problem. The way we handle these problems is the problem, is the actual problem. The solutions that we have is the actual problem, bro. And that explains, oh, I'm never going to be happy. Of course you're not, because you're seeking happiness through suffering. And so in closing, you don't have to seek, is my point. They said it. Just go out there and you'll just find someone. That's so true. You don't have to seek, but we think we have to seek. And within the seeking, we screw things up, bro. And so you don't have to seek. A matter of fact, you don't have to do anything, bro. Because if you love music, you just go that route. If you love to draw, you'll go that route. If you like engineering or whatever, you'll go that route, but naturally. And if you do it naturally, then you just get what you get naturally. And you don't have to have a prospect, or I'm going to make $1 million, or I'm going to do this. It doesn't need to be there, because your body will go ahead. Same thing with exercise, bro. If you decide to just walk or exercise or run and jump, your body will give up when it gives up, and then that's it. If you followed your body will produce better results than the calculated do sets of 12 and do the 15 and the 10 minutes and Saturday's cardio day, and because that's screwing everything up, man. Because it's calculated. And so that means it's manufactured. It's mechanical. And so if you're living like that, you may want to take a look at everything that I went over, everything that I discussed, and examine it and let all that stuff go in any way that you can. The best exercise is never to punish at a restaurant. If you do that, then you will start to clear away the whole idea that life is about suffering. You'll clear it away, and when you see enough of relationships, like now when I watch a movie, a love movie, I freaking laugh, bro. Because it's so freaking predictable, man. It's so freaking predictable. So I get tickled down when I see these relationships, and I'm seeing and I'm watching them make each other suffer in order for their love to sprout. Because, like I said, the more you suffer, the more they love each other. And so you don't have to be a threat, bro. And if the girl catches this to what I'm saying and you see it together, then you'll freaking hold hands, bro, in such unison, bro. You'll ride with life, man. You won't have to do that. And so anyway, man, this closes my talk. I hope you got something out of it. And until the next one, catch ya.